Hi guys, so today I'm going to be showing you how to do Daenerys' classic braid style from season 1. This is when she's only got 4 braids in her hair, and it's definitely the easiest of her hairstyles to do, so I thought it was a good one to start with. So we're going to part our hair right to the back of your head like this, and keeping it parallel with the floor on both sides. And as you can see, I've already got my other hair pulled into a ponytail at the bottom. I'm also going to go kind of not quite a middle part because Daenerys doesn't have an exact middle part. And I'm going to pin this hair just out of the way so that I can work with the other side without having it in the way. Okay, so I've got those two pieces sectioned off. They're not going to get in the way now when I do this braid, and any hairs that I can touch, I will be able to use. Okay, so I've got my hair all sectioned off. The very first thing I'm going to do is take a small section from the very front of my hair, and I'm going to separate this into 3 pieces. We are going to be doing a Dutch braid for this style, so if you're not familiar with how to do those, I have a video that I'll link here on how to do those in more detail. The biggest difference with this Dutch braid is that we are going to be adding new sections only to the very top section. We're not going to be adding anything to the bottom section. So as you can see, I've got a new section picked out here. I'm using a very small section. I don't want to take a big chunk. I've added it to the top section, and now I'm going to push it behind the braid into the middle. And then I'm going to just twist the bottom section right up into the middle. I haven't added anything to it or done anything to it. So we'll do that again. We're going to take another small section and add it to that top piece that I've got. And then we're going to put it behind the other hairs into the middle. And then that bottom section is just twisting up into the middle again without anything adding to it. I'm going to do it slow one more time for you guys. So I've got that top section. I'm putting it behind the middle piece so that it becomes the middle piece. And then that bottom piece is just becoming the middle piece again. And I'm just going to do that over and over again until I get to the back of my head. Now, with this style particularly, you want to make sure you're taking small sections because we want this to be a very detailed braid. And you have to be careful with where your hand is holding the braid because we don't want this braid to be in the middle of the section of hair that I've got chosen out. I want this braid to be at the very bottom. So I want this braid to be following that part that I just picked out halfway up my head. So if your hands are too high, you're going to find that braid is in the middle of the section and it's not going to look the way that we want it to for this. So if you find that happening, if it's too late, you might have to start over. But you should be able to just move the position of your hands and make sure you're holding it lower on your head, and it should be okay. It should straighten out, okay? Also, when you're adding these sections on the top, just watch that you're not holding them too tightly or too loosely, or that you're not scrunching it up by pushing it up with your hands, kind of like the bump I've got going on there, because otherwise you're going to end up with a lot of bumps on the top there, and the hair could be either too loose or too tight if you see that happening. So just be aware of your hand placement and aware of making sure that you're holding them consistently and that you're not creating big bumps for yourself, because that was definitely a problem I had when I was doing this. And I think that would just get better with time and experience, and I didn't mind it too much for this, so I didn't go back and redo it. I think it gives it a little bit of volume and a little bit of a more worn look, which is something that Daenerys often has because during season 1 she's riding around with a bunch of Force Lords. Her hair is not perfect all the time, and that's fine. So I've got this braided along the bottom, as you can see, so you can't see that part that I've created. It looks like it's just right along. And now I've just got a couple pieces at the back to do. Rather than pulling them straight to the side and ending up with a big part right down the back of my head, I'm trying to now pull those hairs more back into the braid so that that braid is kind of smoothly going around the outside of my head and it's not just splitting into the left side and the right side. I want this to be kind of a circle. Again, keep making sure that you're using very small pieces when you're getting around to the back of your head, because this braid is getting quite thick now. But we don't want to lose it at the very back here, because this is an important part of the braid still. And make sure that you haven't missed any hairs back here, because that's going to be very annoying when you go back and realize that this hairstyle is finished and you have 5 pieces of hair that are just sitting on top and you can't do anything with them. So I've braided this all the way around to the back of my head, and I've just braided it a little bit farther than I needed to because I don't want it to get loose and fall out, and this is an easier way to control it. So you can see I do have a little bit of bumping happening on the top, but I'm not going to redo it because, like I said, I think it looks okay. And we are just going to do the exact same thing with the other side now. So I've got this braid all the way to the back of my head as well, and I'm going to add it now to the first braid, being careful not to drop any of these strands because they're going to unravel and you're going to be starting over. So I've just got a clear elastic here, very carefully going to add the ponytail to these 2 strands and just combine them. And if you can look in a mirror and see the back of your head and make sure that you don't have any big bumps happening back there too, I would definitely recommend that, because that is an issue and you can kind of fix that right now still. So now I'm going to move on to the second layer of braids. I'm just going to release that hair and I'm going to do a whole new section. So this time we're going to be parting just above my ears, right to the back of my head again, and then putting that hair, the lowest layer of hair, into a ponytail again, so that it's not in the way, because this hair is not going to be in the braids at all. And then this middle section I'm going to just split in half. It doesn't have to be anything perfect, and it doesn't have to match the top layer where your part is on the top. Just part this somewhere in the middle, and again section this piece off so that it's under control. Okay, so we are going to be doing another Dutch braid here. This time it is just a regular Dutch braid, so we will be adding new hairs to both the top strands and the bottom strands, and we are wanting this time to have that braid in the middle of the section, not at the top, not at the bottom, right in the middle. So again, just be aware of your hand placement when you're doing this to make sure that you're keeping your hands kind of between the top of your ear and the bottom of that first braid so that it's nice. So as usual with the Dutch braid, we are adding pieces to the bottom and then making the bottom into the middle section. And then we're going to be adding, still small, we still want to use small pieces, adding a small piece to the top and then twisting it into the middle. So moving that top piece, twisting that top layer, or that top section, so that it is now the middle section of the braid. Make sure that you get all the hair that's around your ear. Sometimes you miss a few pieces around there. And we're just going to do that all the way around to the back of my head. Okay, so now I'm at the back of my head, and I am going to just braid this down a little bit, just like before, so that I have more control over this braid and it doesn't get loose on me. You can see that the braids have kind of come together in the same area, and that is exactly what I want. So I want the back of the braid to be very close to the back of the first braid. Okay, that's looking really good. And same thing on the other side. Now, if you missed any pieces when you're doing the right side of the braid at the back, this is a good time to pick those up. If you find any, you can stick those still into the left side of the braid, and it will be like nothing ever happened. Okay, so I've got that braid done, the second one, and I'm going to stick another ponytail into the back of it just to keep it under control as well. Okay, so I've got my two braids at the bottom, and I'm just going to get another clear elastic, and I'm just going to pull those bottom braids over top of the first braid. It doesn't have to be anything special again. They're just going to combine together. And I've left the two bigger ponytails in this time because the first time it got a little bit loose at the top. So I don't really want that to happen again. This is probably a better way to do it because you don't lose any of the tightness of those braids. And if you lose the tightness, it does kind of wreck it because I found that the sections become really big and very long and stretched out looking, and it just doesn't look right. So I definitely recommend leaving that ponytail in as you're putting the third ponytail to combine them. Okay, so I've got that second braid ponytail over top of the first braid, and I'm going to take out the last section there because I don't need that anymore, and we're finished. So this is the braid for Daenerys from season 1. I hope you guys liked the video and you found it useful and easy to follow. If you enjoyed this, please give me a like and leave me a comment below. What season of Daenerys' hair was your favorite? And do you still love her even after how the show ended? I definitely do. So I will be continuing to show Daenerys' hairstyles because she's still one of the best characters in the whole series. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye.